Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Diva Tonight. Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Diva Tonight. We have with us on the Zoom call Shelley, and she is a artist. She's been performing for a long time, 14 years, and she has a background in music. And we are going to be talking about her new single, which is kudos to 2020, the year we'll never forget,
That's correct.
Yeah. So, hi, Shelley. Thanks for being a guest on the show. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be great.
Yes, I'm excited to talk about the creation of your single and just life now, your journey. So, for those who don't know you, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Toronto, born and raised in the suburbs, I would say. I live pretty much downtown now. There's a big, especially growing up, there's a big music culture in the city. And, it's before the pandemic, I would say. It's amazing to just once you start getting out there, it's really amazing how many people you'll meet. And it is a big, big industry in Toronto.
It definitely is. I did work at a talent agency. I don't know if you've heard of this one. I worked two places. So I worked at, I'm not going to mention their name, but they have a big Canadian roster, and I've met a few artists and I've seen a few performances, and it's interesting to see how the music industry works. It's a very busy industry, especially if you're on a roster with a management company and they're booking you. You know what I mean? As yourself as an artist, it's like you have a manager, then you have a booking agency, and they book all your shows and your concerts. And it's a lot of work. It's like, where are we booking you? Are you going to be performing at the Scotiabank Arena? Are you going to be performing at the Horseshoe? Like wherever here in the city? We obviously miss it, but at least we can listen to your music while we're at home or walking or wherever we are. Thankful for things like Spotify, right?
It is accessible. Even though we can't see live music, at least it's accessible via, Spotify, YouTube, whatever else is out there now.
Mm-hmm. And you are on Spotify. So if anyone is curious and be like, I've never heard of R Shelley before, you can check her out, right?
Just to be correct, the artist name is R Shelley. So when you search it, that is what we're searching for on YouTube.
Yes. R Shelley. So Shelley, let's talk about the song that you created last year when we were young. I just watched the video, and it's nice. You know how you have an accolade of memories, and I think even the photos that you're posting in the video, that you created for your song, takes us back, because now we're at a digital age. I don't even know, like, when was the last time you developed some photos?
Well, I do like photos, so I try to get them printed regularly, but I actually had to go and print a whole lot more for that video when I made it. So yeah, I think honestly, it's really nice to look back on memories like that. And for me, that was kind of the inspiration for the song. But yeah, I did not have all those photos readily available, but I made it happen.
And what was the inspiration for the song When We Were Young?
Looking back on photos is it's just very nostalgic. And nostalgia it's a way to cope with things. It's been proven that it causes serotonin and all these different things. So when I look back on my memories, I'm very fond of those memories and those photographs. And it just made me want to reconnect with people. And it made me, I don't know, this song just kind of formed from that. And my hope is that it kind of resonates with people, because we're all missing our friends. We're all missing our family. So I feel like looking back on your own photographs is kind of a good way to do that during this pandemic and make you feel a little bit, maybe a little better than you might if you didn't do that.
Music makes us go back in time, and it gives us like a positive feeling if we're feeling down, or it uplifts us. And I guess for you, because you've grown up in the city here in Toronto, where there's so many music festivals, that's probably been an inspiration for you to create music. But who is your mentor, or who is the person who has inspired you to become an artist?
Wow, good question. I would say that from a young age, I kind of just started writing like when you're really little, you write like bad poems and stuff, and then those turn into like silly lyrics and things like that you could like just sing in your head kind of thing. But in terms of mentors, I did go to Coalition Music, the artist entrepreneur program, which is called music incubator these days. And that was a huge eye opener for independent artists like myself. We learned all about everything. And I would say the people who work there are some of my mentors. I did it back in 2012. And to this day, I can still go back to them and they will welcome me with open arms. So yeah, the guys over there are just awesome.
So tell me more about that program. I think that's interesting. You know what I mean? You obviously, it gave you some knowledge into the music industry and what it's like to be in the industry. And it is a competitive industry. You know what I mean? You have to not only create music, but tell me what knowledge it gave you for those who are artists.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, creating music is such a small fraction of the whole picture for an independent artist, even a big artist as well. But when you're independent, you have to learn how to do it yourself. So that's what they tell you. They tell you about publishing. They tell you about royalties. They tell you about songwriting and co-writing and how it's split. They talk to you about rights as an artist. Even SOCAN was a big one. If you're a Canadian artist, you want to be on SOCAN. And we also got to collaborate on a song together. They put us in groups and we got to write a song and actually record it at their facility, which was really cool, but also challenging because as an independent artist, a solo artist myself, I don't really, write with many other people. And it's something that I should do more. I just haven't really had a chance to do it yet. But that's something you kind of have to get out of your comfort zone to be able to do. I did have a backing band one time for like one or two shows in my career, but it's different because my band was playing to my songs. So that's a whole other different thing as opposed to collaborating and writing together. So yeah, it's interesting. You learn a lot. It's fast. So you have to, I would say, like, take a lot of notes because everything you learn is so important, but it can be overwhelming. But at the end of the day, what's most important is getting yourself out there and playing in front of people, when we're allowed to do that again, and just keep writing,
As an artist, I think, in any art, there's that whole thing about being a starving artist, but do you work in any other field or any other industry? Like, I know you've been doing this a long time, so.
Yeah, I would say that this is my side gig right now. And it has been for a while, but I just enjoy it mostly. So why would I stop? What I do as a career professionally is I'm a VFX coordinator. So I work in film and television.
Very interesting. I like that. That's such a good combination. Not only are you in film and television, but you're also in music, which is, they kind of go hand in hand when you think about it. Like, the show, they have the music in the backdrop, you know what I mean? Like the theme of the show and everything like that. How long have you been working in film and television?
About 4 or 5 years now, I want to say. Yeah, probably more than that, actually. I started working in recording studios, like interning at first. And then I worked in a post audio facility where they wrote jingles, they would do voiceovers and stuff like that. And then I eventually moved into like post-production world. And now I'm in visual effects, which is just really cool.
Wow, visual effects. So tell us a little bit more for those of us who don't even know that side. There's so many elements to a show. Like, you read all the credits, right? And there's so many moving pieces. So tell me how it works.
There's production and post-production. I would say pre-production as well, but a pre-production is part of production. Production is when they film the actual show or movie or whatever it may be. And then post-production is what they do afterwards. So editing, coloring, anything that adds embellishment and puts your show together. But VFX is interesting because it has its own layers. And there's just so many different things. There's like 3D, and then there's 2D, and then there's animation, and then there's lighting, there's compositing, there's so many things that you have to. I mean, I'm a coordinator, so I'm not the artist. I don't do the work, but I manage everything that goes in and out. So yeah, it's very cool. It's very intricate, and there's a lot of hard work that goes into it, but the end result is usually pretty cool.
Wow, that is very cool. I like that. You know what I mean? Like, seems like you're well versed. So I hope, when things reopen, this is going to be like, it's good. it's going to be exciting. I think like a lot of us who weren't going to concerts, it might ignite the flame. And, you know, I think if anything, this pandemic has shown us we have to think about the future and like having a backup plan, and the fact that you are in both worlds, but you're also pursuing your dreams, and you've been doing this creating music for a long time. And, you know, I listened to Sink or Swim, and I really, really like that song.
Oh, thank you.
Tell me about that song. What was the process for you coming up with that idea? I think a lot of us can relate to that for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, that is my goal. I think when I wrote Sink or Swim, I was really at this point where I didn't know what to do with music. So it is about music itself, actually. When I wrote it, it was like, do I pursue this and swim, or do I not and sink? And that's why I felt like I was treading water. And it's almost kind of relatable now too, because everything feels so stagnant in the world that we're kind of just like treading water, and we don't know what to do, where to go, kind of thing with this pandemic. So I just hope people can relate to it. That's my whole goal. If you can feel something after listening to my songs, then, you know, that's all I want.
That's beautiful. Yeah. You know what? That's a good way of putting it as an artist yourself, someone who's been doing this for a long time. It's great that 7 years later, the pandemic hits, and then it makes you think back to when you were younger, because when I've talked to other people, I feel like we are going back. We're trying to remember a different time when things stopped, because it's not like we're going and doing the things that kept us busy as a society. It's a simpler time right now, where we're going back to our memories. And, you know, I don't know about you, but I've been watching things that I didn't even think I'd be watching. I started watching Dawson's Creek, never watched the show, but then all of a sudden it's like you're going back to those memories, right? When we were young, and listening to music when we were younger, listening to new music. And your music to me is new, because until like a few weeks ago when we first talked, I hadn't heard of your sound, but it's very calming, I find. You know what I mean? It puts
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
Yeah. I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I think when you said a simpler time, that is absolutely true. And when I recorded when we were young, I did it myself at home, almost because of the pandemic, you know, not almost in spite of it, but definitely because of it. But like, I had never done that before. I'd always recorded at a facility. So I just said, like, what else can I do here? I'm stuck. I have to do this myself. So it's a very stripped down song because I did it myself. You know, it's so simple in that, you know, the progression and everything and the chords. But I think that we have to kind of be simpler as people sometimes, to kind of just to come back to our roots, kind of like, even the fact that there's a pandemic and we can't go and do the normal things we used to, we have to even think simpler. Like a lot of people are going for walks, which is just like, it's so basic, but everyone's doing it. People are going to parks. Again, it's like so basic. And we used to do that when we were kids. You know, we're just trying to find things to do. And there are some good things that can come out of situations like this. And I think that those are some of them. And it forces us to get creative too, a little bit, you know, if we're stuck at home, we got to find things to do. And so you kind of get creative in that. And a lot of people are cooking. A lot of people are making their sourdough breads, you know? So for me, that was, okay, I can't record right now. How do I do this? So I literally went out and bought a microphone and recorded it because what else could I do, you know?
Mm-hmm. You know, as an artist, you have to be creative to begin with, but now it's taking you to a different place in your head where you're like, well, I want to get the music out there and I want to create, and this is how I'm going to do it. And I hope that, you know, I think it's not hopeful. I know that a lot of people will definitely listen to your music as a form of like memories of like when we were young, or even when you feel like you're singing. It's true though. Like, you know, you said you're thinking about singing and singing in terms of your career and where you were starting off. But a lot of us think about that. Like, it's like, if I do this, I don't know what the outcome might be. I think in a lot of ways we can relate to that as individual people. And in life, you go for the goal, you go for the dream. Like they say, to go focus on your dreams, pursue your dreams. But sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, why am I still doing this? It's not going the way I want it to. Like, nothing is perfect. But if you keep consistent, then
Yeah. I mean, I was there for a long time, even just a few years ago. I had a lot of, I wouldn't say maybe doubt, but I was stuck, I think, in terms of music even before the pandemic. But it was tough. I was at this point where I was like, well, I don't even know if this is like, why am I doing this kind of thing? Why am I doing this? That was the question. But I never stopped. And I think as long as you just keep doing it, if you love it at the end of the day, that's your reason to do it. Like, I don't have to be putting my music out there, even if I love music. I can just do it myself at home. Right. But there are some messages that I feel like I want to share. And when we were young, and my last album are some of those messages. And I feel like, what I said before is just as long as people relate or they feel something from it, that's really all I can ask for.
Definitely. I see you've performed at a few venues that are pretty cool. The Hard Rock Cafe, it's not there anymore. I
No.
thought I'd bring that up because I'm like, what was it like performing there when it was open? And
actually, one of my favorite venues, to be honest. I performed there twice. One was this charity event that I did a few songs at. And the other time was for Canadian Music Week, actually. And yeah, that was the time that I had a band, the first time ever, the one time ever, actually. And
that's so cool. Yeah.
It was really fun. The sound there was amazing. The crowd was great. And I'm actually really sad it closed down. It was like one of the best places to be. And it's what's funny is like I have a photo of me on the stage there, and it says like the big Hard Rock Toronto and stuff. So it's very photographable, I guess. And it's like a landmark almost, or it was anyway. But it's really too bad it shut down. It's a Shoppers Drug Mart now, of all things.
I've only been in there once, and my friend and I went there because it was closing down, and we had something to eat. And I'm like, I wish I'd come here more. But it feels like a lot of the things that we remember or have good memories associated with it. Like you said, that's one of your favorite venues. It's like it's now gone, but at least you have the memories from that. And Canadian Music Week, that's a very busy time. We haven't had that happen this year or last year. So, it's obviously when that comes back, it'll be fun. But what was it like to perform at the Opera House?
I love that venue, just like going to see concerts there. And I went there in 2019 to see a concert. And like, it's a beautiful venue, first of all, because it's an old theater, but also it feels more intimate than other big places, like big theaters. I don't know. It even feels more intimate than the Danforth Music Hall, I think.
Really? I've been to the Danforth Music Hall too. And, a lot of different alternative bands I find play at, but you know what? Let me not say that. I've seen Indie RE there. I've seen Charlotte Cardin, to name a couple, you know what I mean? So it is a venue that different artists go to, but
yeah, for sure. I mean, I had the opportunity somehow, I don't remember how, but I mean, you can't say no to playing the Opera House, right? Like it was so much fun. Again, like it's a great venue. The sound technicians like super know what they're doing. And I don't know. Yeah, it was just really fun. And it's fun. It's cool when you also like have played there and then you go to see a concert there and you're like, I was on that stage too. It doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, like it's just a stage and like, who cares? But it's just cool to see, like, it's just different perspectives, I guess.
What do you enjoy about creating music for others to listen to? What motivates you to keep creating?
I think it's when people come back to me and say, I was going through a really tough time and your song really helped me through it. That's what it is for me. If like one person says that to me a year, like I'm good, like that all makes it worth it. It's just a matter of trying to relate to people, and I'm human too. I go through my stuff as well, and half of my stuff comes out as songs, to be honest, but it's a relatable feeling. And I remember a friend of mine actually, and yes, she is a friend, so she does listen to my stuff, but you don't know when people are listening or if they actually listen. So one time she unfortunately got into a really bad accident. She's okay, which is great, but I remember she came to me afterwards and said, "Oh, your song Make You Brave really helped me get through this whole thing." And I was just floored because I had no idea that it could make such an impact.
The last EP, what are the songs that are your favorite? Like you really like, that song, it resonated with you and there was a strong message behind it for you that the 2020 song or the 2020 EP?
When We Were Young is special to me because I did everything myself on it and I had never done that before. I just tried, It's special to me because of the time that we're in, because it was 2020 when I wrote it and we're all trying to navigate this weird world that we're in. And it's just special to me because when I recorded the video, all the photos that I was looking at, it just made me want to see those friends again. And it made me miss those people, even some people I haven't spoken to in years, It's just sometimes that happens between friends, right? You kind of lose touch a little bit. It doesn't mean we don't like each other. It just means, life happens, right? And it made me really miss people. It made me miss just hanging out with people. So that is a special one to me. And off the EP, I think I really like Running off my EP. It's just about home doesn't necessarily mean that's where your heart is. One of the lines is, I found my home in the soles of my shoes, which means you kind of just wander around like you're not necessarily home when you're at your home, right? So I kind of like that meaning is just you find yourself wandering. It doesn't even have to be physically. It could be mentally as well. You don't really feel at home. So I do like the concept of that one as well.
That's great. I'm Carlene, and this is Diva Tonight. We have with us Shelley, and we are going to play for you her song off her 2020 EP, When We Were Young.
Hey, you. It's been a long, long time since I've seen you. I hope you're doing fine. I hope that soon we'll be together. And I know this thing will last forever. Just gotta remembering the laughs and all the silly faces, all the different sights and all the different places, looking at a photograph of memories we made when we were young. Hey friend, sometimes it can get bad, just know I'll lend a helping hand. I hope that sooner we'll get better. And I know this thing will last forever. Just gotta remembering the laughs and all the silly faces, all the different sights and all the different places, looking at a photograph of memories we made when we were young. Memories we made when we were young. Hold on, my dear. Just say, are you? I hope that we'll get through together. Just gotta remembering the laughs and all the silly faces, all the different sights and all the different places, looking at a photograph of memories we made. Remembering your smile and all your silly faces, all the things we did and all the time we wasted, looking back on photographs of memories we made when we were young. Memories we made when we were young. Memories we made when we were young.
I'm Carlene, and this is Diva Tonight. We have with us Shelley. Shelley, thanks so much for sharing the songs that resonate with you, your favorite songs off your last EP last year. Have you been doing more video performances? Like, have you done that? Is that something that you have planned to do? Have you already done some online performances?
I actually haven't. It's not something I've explored and I want to. I know it's a great way to get people engaged these days. So yeah, I think soon I will be doing some online performances. I don't have dates yet, but I'm going to be probably posting those on my social media as we go. But yeah, it is something I'd like to explore, but I just can't wait to perform live again.
Yeah. And let's just say, if tomorrow you could perform, which venue would you like to perform at? Where would I come and see you? Where would you like to be?
Like realistically,
yes.
or
not virtual. Let's forget virtual.
No,
I want to see you at the Horseshoe Tavern, Massey Hall, Danforth Music Hall, the Scotiabank Arena. There's so many different venues here in Toronto. Like, where would you?
Oh my gosh, if I could play Scotiabank, that would be great. I don't necessarily know if I'm there yet, but I do miss the Elmo combo. I will say that.
Can you say that for me again? What was that?
The Elmo combo.
Elmo combo. Wow. Yeah. I've never heard of this venue. Wow. I'm going to have to.
Oh my gosh. It's like one of the famous venues, I guess, where all these different prolific bands have played in the past.
And who are those prolific bands? Do tell.
Rolling Stones. I was going to say Mick Jagger, but yeah, Rolling Stones and a lot of older bands, because this venue is that old in the city, but they revamped it and I haven't played there since it's been renovated. So I'd love to play there again. I'd play the Opera House again any day, any of those.
Sounds so exciting. I think, we have to shoot for the stars when we're in this game, being in the arts and being in that industry. Especially you're in the best of both worlds when you think about it. But as an artist, this is very exciting. I didn't get to ask you, but what were the artists that you listened to growing up?
I do like Ed Sheeran. He's a big influence for me. I mean, Bruno Mars is super fun to listen to. I wouldn't say I write because of him, but I love his work. Taylor Swift as well. I don't listen to her very much, but I do have some songs that I really love of hers. Who else? The Lumineers as well. They're acoustic based kind of sound. So I really quite like that. They're more rootsy than anything.
Yeah, I like Ed Sheeran. I feel like some of his music just pumps you up. I like his look. He's not your everyday artist that, has ginger. He's a ginger, right? So, but Ed Sheeran's he's cool. Even Bruno Mars. I feel like he's the new version of Michael Jackson, not exactly with the same dance moves, but whenever you hear a Bruno Mars song, if it's a upbeat, uptown, you know what I mean? You want to get up and dance. It's one of those.
I think that's my favorite song ever. Uptown Funk.
Yeah.
I think it's one of my favorite songs ever. But actually going back to Ed Sheeran, his song Photograph actually kind of influenced my music video, sort of. Because his video for that song is all old VHS clips of him when he was a kid, growing up. And I thought, photographs are kind of rare, and I wanted to have them as a distinct symbol in my video. So that's why I watched his video, and that's kind of what inspired me for my video for When We Were Young.
I like that. For me, I relate to that in so many ways. My friend and I, we always, even my sister, I remember we used to go to Walmart and just bring the film. I'd bring the film there and I just wait for the photos to come back. And I think, like you said, when we were young, those are the memories you have. You're waiting. You're oh my God, did they come out well? Because now we're in a digital, I'm aging myself by saying that, but you know what I mean? When you go and you see the photos and you see them, and then, just even having an album that's so retro now.
Yeah.
It's now I'm going through my digital album and seeing I'm working on a scrapbook that I've said I wanted to work on for years. And I relate to you because you are in film and television, and I worked in film and television for 3 years. And I realized that, as someone who likes the arts, I danced for 10 years, and working in that industry just reminds me so much of why I love movies. And for me, they've always been a great escape. But you talking about the photographs, and I watched the video and I'm I like that. It was so simple, but the message is there. And like, that's really what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what I wanted to convey, have those symbols, have those photos as a symbol for the past and nostalgia, and also just make sure that it was so simple and kept the viewer interested with the changing photos constantly, right? So you always have something to look at and it's always different, but like also it's just very, very basic.
Definitely. I'm Carlene and this is Diva Tonight. We have Shelley. Thank you, Shelley. How can people find you on social media? Like, we are the social media age. So what's your Instagram,
You can find me everywhere at R Shelley Music, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and my website is rshelleymusic.com.
And don't forget to listen to When We Were Young, her 2020 song. I keep thinking back to that. Years to come, we're going to be listening to that song and thinking back to a time where the world was shut down. And this is something that not just affected one person, but it affects everyone in very different ways. And you have created music for us to listen to for years to come. And, I wish you all the best with your career and see what the future brings. And thank you for being a guest on the show.
Thank you very much for having me. This was great.
Great. Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Diva Tonight. We have a special song for you. I hope you like it. It's from R Shelley. She wrote it during the pandemic. It's called Sink or Swim.
Taking the long way home, and it's harder on your own, but things are looking clear. So here's to thinking about it and not do a thing about it. Thoughts will disappear. It's sink or swim by, treading water. Sink or swim by, can't make up my own mind. Now looking back at all this, seems like I made my own mess. Some things gotta give. Here's to remembering it and not letting you forget it. It's all just how we live. It's sink or swim by, treading water. Sink or swim by, can't make up my own mind. It's sink or swim by, treading water now. It's sink or swim by, getting tired of this life. It's sink or swim by, treading water.
Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Diva Tonight.